Imagine the scene playing out in your pre-construction department, like right now. Your lead estimator is locked in their office. They're leaning over 3 monitors, eyes just completely glazed over. I mean, they are grinding through a manual takeoff for a complex, multi-trade commercial project.
Yeah, we see this all the time.
Right. We are talking about days of highlighting PDFs, manually counting hundreds of fixtures, clicking point to point to measure linear footage of drywall, and trying to decipher architect notes that, frankly, look like they were drawn with a crayon.
It's a nightmare.
It really is. And by the time that bid is finally ready to go out the door, the market has completely shifted. The material prices you based your numbers on have swung. Those supplier quotes you thought to get expired yesterday.
Exactly.
And to pour salt in the wound, a competitor down the street just submitted 5 bids in that exact same week while you were struggling to finalize just one.
That is the reality.
It is. If you are an estimator, a project manager, or an owner at a $2 to $25 million construction company, you live this reality. You're drowning in manual takeoffs, and it is actively costing you lucrative jobs.
That operational bottleneck is it's a profoundly frustrating position to be in. In today's landscape, relying solely on manual counting, it's a structural disadvantage. It has moved past being just an annoyance into being an actual existential threat to a mid-sized contractor's margins.
Which brings us to our mission today. This deep dive is absolutely not a casual tech overview, right? It's not a futurist daydream. Consider this your survival guide.
I like that.
We are unpacking an incredible stack of source material today on the AI estimating revolution, basically a guide to construction automation. We've got fresh market data, detailed software evaluations, hard ROI math, and the Build World's 2026 list profiling over 40 AI-driven solutions in the AEC space.
There is a lot to get through.
There is. And before we get into the weeds, I do want to note that this deep dive is powered by Smart Business Automator, which you can find at smartbusinessautomator.com, by AI-powered workflow automation that kills the busy work so you can scale.
Crucial in this industry right now.
Definitely. In fact, checking the market intelligence from Smart Business Automator, they flagged a massive trend right off the bat for us. Google searches for the exact phrase, construction estimating services, have spiked an incredible 16,800% recently.
Wow.
Contractors are actively, desperately searching for a lifeline here.
Well, what's fascinating there is the underlying pressure driving that staggering search volume. If we, connect this to the bigger picture, contractors are operating in an incredibly tariff-volatile market right now.
Oh, yeah.
Supply chains remain stubbornly unpredictable. Pricing for basic materials, copper, steel, lumber, it's exceptionally fluid. In this specific environment, speed is no longer just a nice-to-have convenience.
Right, it's not a luxury.
Exactly. It's the fundamental difference between winning a profitable job and holding a dead bid. If your supplier quotes expire in 3 days, and your internal estimating process takes 5 days just to quantify the materials,
you've mathematically lost the game before you even submitted the paperwork.
Exactly. You're out of the running.
Okay, let's unpack this bottleneck, because getting to the root of the problem is where we really have to start. The research indicates that most mid-sized contractors are still dedicating anywhere from 2 to 5 days purely on manual takeoffs for a standard commercial project.
Yes.
That is up to an entire work week dedicated solely to counting doors and measuring pipe before your team even gets to the strategic part of pricing the job.
Or analyzing constructability.
Right.
Or negotiating with subs.
Exactly. But the concept in these documents that completely reframe this for me is the math of speed. Statistically speaking, if you can bid 30% more jobs in the exact same time frame, you will fundamentally win more work, even if your actual win rate stays exactly the same.
That's the pivotal shift in mindset right there. You're moving the entire operational model of a construction business from a defensive posture where you're just trying to keep your head above water with the current bid board to an offensive one where you dictate your pipeline.
Yeah, you take control.
Right. But to achieve that volume without sacrificing sleep or quality, we have to look at what the technology is actually doing to eliminate that multi-day lag. Let's demystify the AI vision models for a moment.
Please do.
What modern AI estimating software does is ingest your digital drawings, whether those are flat, messy PDFs from a local architect or highly complex CAD files. It uses advanced machine learning models to automatically identify and quantify the materials shown.
So it's not just a fancy scanner.
No, it doesn't just see pixels. It understands context. It reads the plans, counts the specific types of fixtures, measures the linear footage of walls, calculates the concrete yardage for the footings, and then it generates a comprehensive, categorized takeoff report.
Wait, I have to push back here on behalf of every estimator listening, because the immediate visceral reaction to hearing AI will read your plans is massive skepticism.
Of course.
An algorithm doesn't know how to actually build a building in the real world. A machine doesn't know that my specific concrete crew needs an extra 10% of material for waste on a certain type of complex pour, or how to factor in the reality of a staging area that's way too small. How does the software account for the messy reality of construction?
That raises a really important point, and it's honestly the most common hurdle to adoption. The source material is remarkably clear on this. This technology is absolutely not here to replace a lead estimator's 30 years of hard-won field experience.
So they aren't coming to the jobs.
No. AI is an amplifier, not a replacement. An experienced estimator is incredibly valuable because of that nuanced, real-world knowledge you just described. An AI tool is incredibly fast at rote counting. But an experienced estimator paired with an AI tool is exponentially more valuable than either one operating independently. The AI does the heavy lifting of the initial tedious count, pulling the base quantities in minutes.
Which frees up the human.
Exactly. It instantly frees up the human expert to spend their time doing what they're actually paid for: value engineering, assessing site-specific risks, and strategic pricing.
So if we accept that AI is the amplifier here, the next logical hurdle is figuring out what to actually plug into your workflow. Because looking at the landscape, the Built World's 2026 list highlights over 40 different AI-driven solutions currently on the market.
It's a crowded space.
Yeah, that ecosystem has clearly matured past the experimental phase, but 40 tools is overwhelming. Where does a contractor even start?
That sheer volume of options is exactly what causes decision paralysis in pre-construction departments. This is where leaning on data is crucial. When looking at all these options, market intelligence and analytic reports from Smart Business Automator track which of these AI tools are actually gaining traction among top-performing contractors, cutting through the hype.
That's super helpful because you don't want to be the guinea pig.
Right. Let's break down a few of the standout platforms that represent different approaches to the problem.
Let's start with Beam AI. The documentation describes it as a cloud-based takeoff and bid support platform. But the feature that caught my eye wasn't just the AI extraction, it's their human-in-the-loop approach.
That's a huge differentiator.
Yeah, Beam AI reads the plans and extracts the material and scope data, but then it features a layer of human-reviewed quality assurance before the data is handed back to you. They are essentially combining the brute speed of the algorithm with a built-in safety net of human review.
That human-in-the-loop model is a brilliant bridge for companies that are highly skeptical of full automation. It builds trust from day one. Contrast that broad approach with something hyper-specialized, like Drawer AI.
I was reading about them.
Drawer is specifically engineered for electrical pre-construction, which, as any contractor knows, involves notoriously complex and dense plan sets. Drawer AI automates the quantity takeoff straight from standard PDFs, but it goes much deeper than just counting symbols.
That's the part that really stood out to me in the sources. It doesn't just say, here are 50 duplex receptacles. The software actually understands the spatial relationship on the page.
Exactly.
It detects the specific electrical devices, but then it virtually routes the circuits and sizes the wires automatically based on distance and load, and then spits out a comprehensive material list. When human estimators do that, they often have to make educated guesses on wire length and throw a 15% waste buffer on top just to be safe.
Yeah, the old thumb rules.
But the AI is calculating the actual geometry.
And the precision there reduces that arbitrary waste buffer. That tightens your bid and makes you more competitive without sacrificing your margin. Beyond trade-specific tools, the research also highlights platforms taking a more holistic approach, like Boon.
Right, Boon is interesting.
Boon utilizes AI agents that are embedded directly into your existing pre-construction workflows. Instead of being a separate destination you log into just to do a takeoff, it acts as an assistant automating repetitive tasks across the entire life cycle.
Moving from phase to phase.
Yes, moving seamlessly from the initial estimating phase, tracking addendums, all the way through to active bid management and subcontractor communication.
And then we have Varcino, which is throwing some very aggressive claims around in the source documents. They're citing a massive 60% reduction in overall estimation time for their users.
A big number.
I have to admit, whenever I see a clean, massive number like 60% in B2B software, my marketing fluff radar goes off. How real realistic as getting 60% of your week back.
It is a bold claim. But when you dissect the workflow of a traditional estimator, it becomes mathematically plausible. If an estimator spends Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday purely highlighting plans and clicking a mouse to count items, and Varsino can process those same plans and generate the base quantities in 2 hours on Monday morning.
Then that massive time reduction is suddenly very real.
Exactly. It's about collapsing the data entry phase to near zero.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. We have to translate that time savings into hard financial numbers. Let's walk through the ROI example provided in the research, because the math is what actually moves the needle for a business owner.
Let's do it.
Let's say you have a mid-level estimator on staff making $85,000 a year, and conservatively, they spend 60% of their working hours just doing manual takeoffs.
A very realistic scenario.
Right. If an AI tool comes in and provides just a 50% time savings, which is well within the 40 to 60% range, these platforms are documenting that translates directly to over $25,000 in recovered capacity annually, just from that single employee.
That recovered capacity is the crucial metric. When you are evaluating the financial logic of adopting this technology, you are essentially comparing the cost of software against the cost of human capital.
Which is always going up.
Always. Most of these AI estimating platforms operate on a SaaS subscription model, with costs generally ranging from $200 to $1,000 a month. That's heavily dependent on your bid volume and the complexity of the specific tool.
Sure.
But if you take that maximum tier of roughly $12,000 a year in software costs and contrast it against the expense of hiring an additional estimator to handle increased bid volume, which the data notes runs between $70,000 and $100,000 a year, fully loaded.
The financial argument makes itself.
The math is overwhelming.
You are getting the output of a second estimator for a fraction of the cost of a new hire. But the research is quick to point out that the $25,000 in recovered time isn't even the real ROI.
Not at all.
The actual return, the thing that changes the trajectory of a $20 million company is what you do with that recovered time. If your lead estimator isn't spending 3 days counting drywall, they can bid 30% more work.
They can negotiate tighter pricing with your suppliers.
They can find the hidden constructability issues in the plans before you win the job and get burned by them.
Redeploying that human intellect to high-leverage tasks is the ultimate goal. However, to confidently rely on that initial data pull, we have to address the elephant in the room regarding the machine's capabilities. Are these AI takeoffs completely infallible?
Right, what happens when it messes up?
Well, no, they aren't infallible. They absolutely require human validation and review. The technology is not at a point where you can blindly export an AI takeoff, slap a margin on it, and fire off a $3 million bid without looking at it.
Because if an AI misinterprets a vague architectural symbol and misses a critical load-bearing element, or thinks a specialized fire-rated door is just a standard hollow metal door, that is a catastrophic bidding error.
It could tank a project.
How are these tools handling the messy reality of poorly drawn blueprints?
The AI will occasionally stumble on a highly non-standard symbol or a particularly degraded scan of an old plan set. However, what the data consistently shows is that while the AI might struggle with a strange artistic choice by an architect, it excels at consistency.
It doesn't get tired.
Exactly. It routinely catches things that human estimators miss. This becomes incredibly evident on complex multi-trade projects where plan revisions and addendums are happening constantly. Think about the human element. A human estimator might easily overlook a tiny crucial notation buried on page 84 of a plan set after staring at a glowing monitor for 9 hours straight.
Human fatigue is a massive liability in estimating.
The AI vision model does not suffer from eye strain at 9 p.m. It processes page 84 with the exact same precision as page 1. Therefore, the optimal operational sweet spot is utilizing the AI to generate that highly detailed, exhaustive first pass, followed immediately by your experienced human estimator stepping in to refine and validate.
Which perfectly leads us into the tactical side of this. How do you actually bring this into your company without causing a full-scale revolt in your pre-construction department?
Have to be smart about it.
The sources lay out a very specific practical playbook for implementation without disruption, and the golden rule is do not rip and replace.
Never rip and replace.
Right. Do not walk into the office on a Friday, cancel your current software, and tell everyone they're using AI on Monday. The strong recommendation is to run a 30-day parallel test.
The 30-day parallel process is the most critical factor for successful adoption and, more importantly, for building internal trust. The methodology outlined in the research is brilliant in its pragmatism. You continue running your manual takeoffs exactly as you do today.
You don't disrupt your current bidding pipeline.
Exactly. But simultaneously, you run those exact same project files through the new AI tool.
And the key here is to start with your bread and butter, right? Don't initiate the trial on the most bizarre, complex, one-off custom build you've ever seen. Start with your most repetitive project type, a standard retail fit-out, or a typical warehouse shell.
Absolutely. By running your standard projects in parallel, you create a controlled environment where you can directly and objectively validate the AI's accuracy against your known human-calculated quantities.
You measure the deltas.
You identify exactly where the AI struggled. Perhaps it consistently misread a specific lighting fixture symbol you see often and where it excelled. You measure the time it took the machine versus the human. You only begin to scale and transition away from the manual process when your lead estimators have built genuine, data-backed confidence in the output.
It's all about adding a powerful engine to your workflow, not blowing up the car. And speaking of workflow, the integration aspect is huge. You do not want an AI tool that lives on an isolated island where you have to manually copy and paste quantities into a spreadsheet.
That defeats the purpose of the automation.
Right. The research notes that most of these modern tools are specifically designed to connect directly into your existing ecosystem. We are talking about API connections, which essentially act as a secure digital bridge, pushing the takeoff data directly into platforms like ProEst, Stack, PlanSwift, Bluebeam, and even straight into larger company-wide ERP systems.
The AI does the counting and seamlessly populates the pricing software you already know how to use.
Adding to the workflow, not replacing it. But, and this is a crucial piece of nuance provided in the source material, this technology is not universally necessary or economically viable for every single construction business operating today.
That is a very important distinction to make. Who should specifically hold off on adopting this technology right now?
The data strongly suggests that if you are a very small residential contractor, maybe executing 2 or 3 relatively simple, highly custom jobs a month, the manual process might still make the most economic and operational sense for you.
The ROI of AI estimating scales directly with project complexity and bid volume.
If your volume is low and your plans are simple sketches, the overhead of managing a new SaaS subscription might outweigh the time saved.
So if you are building a couple of standard decks or simple kitchen remodels a month, keep your scale rulers and highlighters.
But if you are a mid-sized firm bidding 10 or more jobs a month, or if you are diving into complex commercial, industrial, or multifamily work, the sources are unequivocal. AI estimating is no longer a luxury, it has become a competitive necessity.
Which brings us to perhaps the most urgent point in the entire stack of research. We're currently sitting in a very unique and very temporary competitive window. Right now, according to the market data, only about 1.5% of contractors are utilizing AI across multiple pre-construction processes.
1.5% is practically nobody. It is the absolute bleeding edge of the adoption curve.
It means that the early adopters who successfully implement AI estimating right now possess a massive structural advantage over 98.5% of their market. They possess an advantage in bid volume, in operational speed, and in the ability to secure material pricing before the market shifts.
They can review more opportunities and cherry-pick the highest margin jobs, while their competitors are still manually counting doors on a project they might not even win.
But that window is rapidly closing.
And this is where the sponsor data really hits hard. Our research partners at Smart Business Automator spotted this early. Their market intelligence shows the adoption curve is steepening rapidly in Q1 2026. The time to move is now.
This asymmetrical advantage won't last forever. Once every contractor in your region has these tools, the advantage of pure speed completely disappears. It ceases to be an advantage and simply becomes the new baseline requirement for doing business.
It is the classic technology adoption life cycle playing out in real time. Those who act during the steepening of the curve capture the disproportionate rewards. Those who wait until the plateau, until it feels completely safe, are simply spending money to catch up and survive in a faster market.
So what are the immediate action steps for you based on all this intelligence? Number 1, pick a tool that fits your trade. Look at Beam AI for general QA, Drawer AI if you're electrical, or platforms like Boon or Varsano for broader workflow automation.
Number 2, start a free trial this week. Don't overthink it, just get the software in your hands.
And number 3, implement that 30-day parallel test on your most common project type. Prove the math and the accuracy for your own business in a safe, controlled way.
As you consider pulling the trigger on those action steps, I want to leave you with a final thought to ponder from today's deep dive.
If we assume this adoption curve continues as projected, and AI eventually levels the playing field so that absolutely every contractor can estimate with perfect speed and near-perfect accuracy, what then becomes the next great differentiator for your business?
When the sheer speed of data processing is completely commoditized by software, perhaps the true irreplaceable value of your company returns entirely to the strength of your human relationships, your creative problem solving, and your highly specialized boots-on-the-ground expertise.
That is a brilliant way to frame the future of the industry. Speed gets your bid in the door and keeps you in the game. But the human element, the trust, the reputation, the ability to solve a client's specific nightmare on site is what will ultimately win the job and keep you in the room.
Thank you all for joining us on this deep dive into the AI estimating revolution. Don't wait for your competitors to figure this out first. Take the leap, run the parallel test, and take your time back. We will catch you on the next deep dive.